Well, for me, what I do is in my community, because I'm in the Kennesaw Ackworth area, I love my Kennesaw Police Department and my Ackworth Police
Yay.
Department. I love them. So
Yeah.
I was a part of the Citizens Police Academy,
Hmm.
and I did that because I wanted to see what officers go through, and whew, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
We went through assimilation, and
Hmm.
can I tell you, I shot everyone. Okay?
Should not laugh.
I have to tell the truth
I
because
know.
the adrenaline that you're going
Yeah.
through, and
Yeah.
again, I am not saying I'm condoning a lot of bad behavior, but what I
Right.
am saying, Nelly, I understand,
Thank
the
you.
wrongful shootings and stuff. Again, I am not condoning, but I
Right.
understand because when I saw my body count, and I'm like, and I wasn't in that high sense of it was a simulation. I put myself in their place.
Hmm.
And I'm like,
Hmm.
wow, every time they get a call, a domestic, you never know. And these are people who they're underpaid. I'm going to
Right.
put that out there. They're underpaid
Right.
and they're going out there to protect and serve,
Hmm.
and I just love my police officers. I just love
Yay.
them because I mean, Chief Westenberger and Chief Dennis
Yeah.
tell you I always talk about them. I live,
They're
breathe
great.
Kennesaau. I think I'm really a police officer, no, but and what I tell my mentees, no matter where you live, go out and reach out to the police officers because they're human. Say hello, get to know
Hmm.
exactly what you said. That's what I preach this every day. So when people
Yep.
call me and they're like, well, Jackie, you love your police officers, but we don't think yada, yada, yada. You know what? Let's set up a meeting, speak with the police chief, get to know because it starts from the
Hmm.
top.
Yeah.
The mayor, the police chief, get to know what he's all about. Don't
That's
just look at
right.
the color of the skin. Get to know your police officer because it's great to know when you see someone driving in a patrol car, you can wave, they can wave. If you see them at the store, you can wave. So, I do believe in being respectful to the police officers. And I do understand it. One apple can't spoil the whole bunch. But thank God we don't have bad apples up here that I know about. But
Right.
I am just
Right.
saying, and I just have so much faith in my police officers. And I'm sure there are a couple out there, but I have not met with them yet. And I truly respect someone, just like going into the military. You're allowing me to talk to you on the phone. On what I'm doing, I'm free. I can do whatever I want to do. In my country, when there's an election on my island, they're killing people. Okay.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I have a different appreciation than
Right.
most people.
Right.
So for me, I just love my officers, and that's what
Yeah.
I try to. If I'm in Atlanta, I'm always saying, "Hey, are you okay? Please be
Hmm.
safe." I'm sending
Hmm.
scriptures like, we need you to be safe because that's just how I feel. And, I could go on and on and on and on, but I respect also what you're doing, Nelly, because like I say, I'm watching you on LinkedIn. I'm constantly double tapping you and seeing what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you too.
It takes a lot what you're doing. And, we may not see behind the scenes, but you make it look easy. Okay. You
Thank
make it look,
you.
I don't know
Thank
how you
you.
do it, but you make it look easy. And
Thank
I
you. That's just
respect you.
concealer, but thank you. That's just concealer. That's all that is. That's that matte concealer. Okay.
I'm like, I don't care how early, how late. So, and I do believe in giving people their roses, not just women, just giving people their roses because you may have a bad day, but please know it's a bad moment. It's not a bad day. And there are people who are
Mm.
championing you in what you're doing. So I just want you to know that because, I mean, everyone has great things to say about you. I feel like I'm speaking to a celebrity right now, And
I
so,
just really the human beings that I'm around, they're just really good people. And I just want to really live in this, space that, yes, I just want to be around positive people, people that are, challenging me to do better and be better. And, we have so many in policing profession that are doing just that. And so you mentioned, these police chiefs who I just really respect and they're my friends, and they're doing great things. And I can tell you just what you're saying, police department and the support and the faith that you have in them, that's what they're looking for.
mhm.
And I know that it goes both ways, but I would just say let's kind of have some grace. Let's get to know each other. We'll just, sometimes you got to hit the refresh. I mean, I do it, I try to work out consistently, and then I have a bad few days and it's just like, uh-oh, time to refresh. And so that's what we're doing in 2021. And that is so warm, and that warms my heart how you explain that, because that's what we're looking for, just for, the community to give us a chance to hit that reset and heal. And we can, I say that people really need to reach out to their law enforcement agencies. If we have these, community officers, in my job, public affairs, we're the community, community affairs, public affairs, social media affairs, legislative affairs, media affairs. So it's a lot rolled into one. So we tend to leverage the resources, and we might, latch on to some of the local agencies because we have that partnership anyway. But in a lot of those police departments, sheriff's offices, they have kind of those community affairs folks that's just what they're doing. And, they may have, depending on how small or large they are, they may not have 50 people that can do, something on everybody's street every single night. And so they do what they can to kind of get out there and connect. And obviously, needless to say, it's that much more difficult during a pandemic. So that's why we say, also you need to let it be a two-way street. You reach out to them as well, and and get to know them and work with them. And even if there's, improvements that you want to see, there's a way to communicate that. There's a process for that, and express that. And so that's the only way that it'll get better. We're not looking for people to just, agree with us all the time and, like all the policies. But, at the end of the day, there is a process. And I think that if we have this healthy dialogue and then try to come up with some really good concrete goals, I think there's definitely a good path forward together.
I was driving one day and I saw one of the police officers, they pulled someone over, gave them a ticket, and they were talking to the person. You saw the dialogue. The driver wasn't angry. They understood. So I called my police chief and said, you know what? Who is this lady in car? Da, 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 da. And I said, she was so respectful. I mean, the way she, so he's like, thank you. So you never know who's watching. And also, I want people to understand, for me, we started a segment, and we're going to go back to the segment where we would interview police officers. I spoke to my chiefs and I said, hey, you know what? I don't want Kennesaw to be a Ferguson or Ackworth to be a Ferguson, right? So let's start with the chiefs and start interviewing police officers. I can't tell you how many times when I'm in a grocery store and a child acts up, and the mother says, I'm going to get the police officer on you. I'm going to get the police officer on you. I can't tell you how much it makes me cringe. So I said, what I wanted to do, and we're going to go back to that, is to get police officers to come back on the show, interview them, talk about, like, they're human beings outside of their uniforms. Who are they? What do they like to do? What is their favorite hobby? Because I want to humanize them. Yes, they're humans, but I think some people don't see that. And I think with the other things that happened, I think it has gone back to that in some cities. I want to make sure that when you see that officer, you can say hello and how are you doing? Or that's the person I saw on the Women Are Worthy show, and he likes fishing just like I like fishing,
Right.
like that.
Right.
So I want to get back, and not just in the Kennesaw. I want to do that throughout Henry County and different counties, because I think there isn't a platform really for them, other than if they receive a medal or if something happens. It's one or the other. It's not anything in the middle to talk about with the police officer. I'm not here to say whether you like the police department, but I want to know you as a human being, because you're putting your life on the line. And we have the pandemic, and they're still out there. I don't know if I could still be working as a police officer during the pandemic.
Who are you telling?
You, okay? So I think we give them a lot of flack. If we're going to complain, we also need to compliment. And we're not complimenting enough. And again, this is just, the Women Are Worthy show. These are all my opinions. It's my show, so I can give my opinion. So I just think that we have to meet them halfway, because they would run in burning buildings. They do a lot. And I'm not here saying that they're martyrs, but what I am saying is they're doing a lot that I wouldn't do for you. And I don't even know you.
You've said a lot of great stuff in that. There's a plenty to unpack. What really stands out to me, that I think is really important just for all of us to be reminded, is that, when you open up your social media accounts and you see Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram and all of these different platforms, and you turn on the TV and something has happened in Kansas, has happened, in California, has happened in South Carolina, New York, Minnesota. What we tend to do is you look at that, and then you basically release this type of emotion. It kind of sort of, oh God, you're sad, you're mad. And then what we do is then take that and apply that to where we are. So we might take it out on our loved one and get angry, or the next police officer you see is just like, oh, they're all that way. But the reality is we cannot take what's happened, something that's happened 200 miles away, and then directly apply it to our, say, local police department. I mean, it's definitely a great opportunity for us to maybe ask some questions. How do you all handle this? Well, what is your policy for, certain types of, like investigative techniques? You may want to ask that, and that's fine. But what we often do is just take that, and then next thing we know, we've applied it to, what we're dealing with today, and then we're angry. No, we definitely want to process what we're going through, and it's hard. But then to go one step further, then take it out. I mean, when we had the civil unrest over the summer, and I know there've been a lot of statements made about it, and I'm not going to say anything specific about, what people should have done or shouldn't have done. But what I can say is that in all of it, just talking to these police officers, they had, rocks and all sort of objects like thrown at them, spit on, just all kinds of stuff. Now, I think that we can agree that that's definitely not the way for us to respond. I mean, absolutely support peaceful protesting. And certainly we can, we're not going to go down that road. But I mean, you start throwing rocks and, all these different things and, injuring people and potentially putting yourself in a situation to injure the people around you, that's way across the line. And so I would just say that, there are plenty of different ways to try to wrestle with all of the things that we've been seeing. And obviously we know it didn't just start in 2020. This has been, long before 2020, for several years that we've been, dealing with dealing with a lot of social justice issues as it surrounds this topic that we're talking about. But certainly I think 2020 just, brought us to the point where in the midst of a global pandemic, all of this happens, and then poof, the perfect storm, it just explodes.
What I did was, okay, I'm going to put it out there. I don't want to say I'm an activist. What I'm going to say is I like to do things. I'm not one to sit down and complain. I want to go, well, I guess it's an activist. I want to go out there and resolve the situation because I have a small space in this world. I want to make sure I'm doing the best that I can. So this is what I did. I contacted my police chief because, okay, we had George Floyd. We had so many things happening to African-American men, right? And I said, I wonder what the white officers feel like, the ones who are not for that, the ones who
Right.
really, how do they feel? Because right now it's like they don't have a voice. It's like, they're lumped into all the other officers. So I asked my police chief, can I come in and speak to the white officers? Because we're not giving them a pep talk. And they have to feel away because they're probably thinking, oh my God, why did that idiot do that? The officers, why did they do that? Because now, Black people are looking at us like we're all in the same group. Again, that's not what they said. This is what I'm
right. Right.
So I asked my police chief, can I come in and speak to some of the officers? Because I want them to know that I support them. I don't know how many people maybe of the African-American race has gone over to the police officers, especially the Caucasian ones or the white ones, to say, you know what? I know you're not like that because I've known you for a while, and I want you to know I support you. Because I wanted them to know this because, yes, we had this whole thing blow up in our face. It was horrible. It was happening to our African-American men and women. But I wanted to know, what are the white officers feeling like, where they're like, they're the magnifying glasses are on all of them, but the ones who actually basically feel the way that we feel, like who's talking to them, who's having conversations and letting them know, thank you for showing up to work every day. Thank you for agreeing that this is not the right thing. Where my police chiefs both said Black Lives Matter. Okay, because that was important for me to hear that. Yes, Blue Lives Matter, but I wanted to hear specifically Black Lives Matter. But I wanted to talk to these police officers, so I did like a little pep talk to let them know there's more people than myself that that basically support them. And it turned out really good because it was
That's
like they
good.
needed that. You
That's
know, so
good.
and I don't think people were thinking about that. And I'm not saying, oh, I was so smart. It was just
Yeah.
I woke up one day and had an epiphany, and I'm like, I wonder what the white officers, how do they feel in this time? You know, the ones who are standing up for the right issues, the right reasons, and they're protecting me no matter what
Right.
color I am. How are they feeling right now? They have to
Right.
feel not good. So it
Right.
turned out really, really well.
That's
I was
nice.
glad I did that, you know,
That's
because
nice.
I don't know how other officers feel, but I said, if I live here, I'm going to take care of my officers.
Right.
We have a question. Someone says, what movies or TV shows that accurately depict police work?
That accurately depict police work. Oh goodness. That's a good, very good question. And I've honestly not been with having small children. I'm really behind on TV shows and movies and all of that. But I particularly like Blue Bloods. I don't know if
Oh
you
my
have Blue
God, with
Bloods.
Tom
I
Selleck?
just like that. Now,
Yeah.
that doesn't, my opinion doesn't speak for everyone, but I think, one of the reasons why I particularly, like that show is because, they definitely do touch on a lot of things that are happening, real life scenarios and incidents that have happened. And I'm sure they draw a lot from current events, but just the way that he, as the commissioner, that Tom Selleck just engages his command staff. I just think I like that, and I don't know what other people would, other people that are actually police officers and are sworn would say, because for me, coming from the fact that my training, my discipline is in forensics, I can't really think of any like forensic show that I'm just like, oh yeah, that's just like it, because we're always like, oh, we don't, it's not done in like 5 minutes, everything is done, and they flip through commercial and then voila, it's done. So I'm not going to talk about any show, but
Right.
tend to be like maybe Forensic Files, which is much more kind of on par with the work, but that's not a TV show. But yeah, I'm gonna pick Blue Bloods. I'm
I
gonna pick
love that show
Blue-
because family, because it's a
yeah,
history of family in law
yeah, yeah,
enforcement. And
yeah.
okay, don't get me started on that. Let me stay focused. Because he is so hot, Tom Selleck. Let me stay focused. Okay, is my husband around? Okay, let me stay
I
focused.
won't tell.
Stay focused. Okay, because you're working, how are you balancing family time with your work? That's one question. The second
Mm.
question is, what are you doing for self care?
Man, who are these people? We need to have some offline discussion. I think that those are two great questions. So, the balancing thing, oh my goodness, that is a constant struggle. Because I mean, each day I'm just trying to be better than I was my last moment. That's always what I'm striving for. So I really have been kind of, because part of my job is social media, but you pick up that phone, right? And you can start scrolling. There's this thing we call, for those of us that have the social listen, it's like doom scrolling. And everything is negative, negative tweets.
Yeah.
And so I've actually pulled off of my phone. I recently joined, it's going to sound kind of crazy. I joined this platform called Clubhouse, and they have,
Yes. I'm
we'll
addicted
talk
to that. We got
we'll,
to
we'll talk more offline.
thank you. Okay.
But there's just been like, of course, there's some rooms it's like, okay, this is not quite the best fit. But there have been so many rooms we're just having, we're just getting back to the basics of just talking and having conversation. And one of the things that, I've really picked up from a lot of people who are highly successful is just that their ability to really time manage properly. So getting back to the question of balance, what I've started to do is like the night before, I go ahead and schedule out my day to a T. And so it's going to improve over time, but literally scheduling in, time with my children, I'm going to start, everything, putting it on the calendar, because what happens is that, you just get overwhelmed with, oh, there's so much to do. And I mean, I'm not perfect here. I mean, there's still a ways to go, but when it comes to the weekends, working in law enforcement, there's going to be times where we're going to have to respond on the weekend, working on the weekend. The agents are, they're getting called out on the weekends. I'm having to do press releases. I have had to, go to scenes on the weekends. I mean, all kinds of things that constantly happen. But when I tell you, when there's a moment where nothing is happening, I'm going to enjoy myself. I might read, I might put my headphones on and just listen to something that's going to basically be positive, that's going to add value to me, something I can learn from, and just really just step away. I exercise kind of, I won't say exercise nut, because But I do run 5Ks with my husband. That's something we do together. Pre-pandemic, we as a family we did a lot on the weekends. I'm a Delta, and so I've actually recently become active again, in the Henry County Alumni chapter, and so just involved in other things outside of just GBI. Am I the biggest GBI cheerleader? Absolutely, but with all that's going on, you do have to take a break. But there's a lot of things I like to do to enjoy life. I mean, I enjoy, other stuff like hair and makeup and fashion and all of that. And just doing other things. I make sure that I schedule it. That's the biggest thing. I'm going to start getting more into trying to really set more, quarterly goals and yearly goals and planning things out. But I'm that list person, every single day. So before I go to bed, I go ahead and lay out my next day. So that way, when I wake up, I don't feel like I'm scatterbrained. I'm focused on what I need to do, meditation, prayer, just all of that. It's just really stuff that really feeds my soul. And I noticed that where I thought, especially when, I'm trying to deliver all this content, create this content. I'm like, I think I'm doing okay. I think I'm managing. I think I'm getting by. But then when I'm just like, wow, there's so much more I can be and do and accomplish. And so I'm just excited because I'm just like, okay, so the balance thing, I work a lot, but I am definitely about it. And I think we touched on the self-care. I enjoy getting my hair done. I'm not real great on my feet here lately. But exercise is really, really crucial for me. Like I said, I got my treadmill downstairs, husband's working on the gym and all of that. I'm big on what I eat. I'm not a perfect eater, but I definitely try to limit my processed food, drink a lot of water. And I know it's a complete change for me, like how I feel and my level of energy. What I really need to focus on, I was listening to a little talk in Clubhouse today, is my sleep. That is an
Yeah.
area that I'm failing miserably in. I'm going to go ahead and admit it. And this whole, I think we wear a badge of honor when we say, I can operate on little sleep. Well, I'm glad I can function, but like long term, what's that doing to my mind? And I just really I got to work on that. So that's going to be a big element.
Yeah, because sleep, it helps, blood pressure. And people don't
Mm-hmm.
understand, you really need that sleep because that's when your cells regenerate. I can
Yep.
go on and on and on and on.
Yeah, the
So,
recovery. That's
yes,
right.
need that.
Yeah.
So, what book do you have? Two questions again. What book do you have in your library that you would like to read again if you had the time? And what book would you recommend for one to read with regards to whatever it is? I'm not going to say inspiration, motivational. I'm going to leave
Yeah.
it.
Well, right now I am doing, and so far from what I've read, I'm reading the Happiness Advantage, and I really enjoy it because it's not like super like, oh, just entertaining, but it's just this guy just talking about his experiences, as a Harvard professor and studying happiness and just really the power of the mind and the mindset. And it, for me, just kind of goes along with what I'm kind of just where I'm at right now as we moving forward and trying to heal and being positive. So I'm going to say the Happiness Advantage just because it's what I'm reading right now, and I enjoy it. And a book that I probably read again, I think the one that comes to me that I haven't read, I read one time, and I really didn't. I honestly wouldn't, as somebody recommended it to me, but I don't know that I would have really thought about it. And I don't know if you've heard, it's called 72-Hour Hold.
No. Okay.
72-Hour Hold. I believe it's Pearl Cleage, if I'm not mistaken. But it's about a young lady who suffered from mental health problems, and had to go through like the 72-hour hold. We put on a 72-hour hold as a person was as she was struggling with mental health. And I think that the mental health factor is just, it's just very critical. And it's something that it's not the easiest to try to figure out how we solve it. But like our organization, we work a lot with this group called NAMI. It's the National
Yeah.
Alliance. Yeah, NAMI. And, we're really, the executive director, Kim Jones, we're got a great, friendship with her, and we've had a great partnership with her over the years. And we talk about, police involved, incidents, and how police want to interact with someone that's suffering from a mental health crisis. And so I just like that because one of those things that we still know there's a stigma attached to it. So you don't always get to have that open dialogue, but reading that book allowed me to kind of dive deeper into that topic. So that's the one that comes to mind.
Well, I'm definitely going to talk about that because, with other people, I'm going to get the book because I definitely, I have therapy on, 411,
Mm-hmm.
911, because the pandemic had done something to my psyche because
Mm-hmm.
I'm a people person, hugging and how
Mm-hmm.
you doing, and we can't do that anymore. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
an elbow bump, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have to be. Remember, we had to be isolated for a moment, locked down. So it was doing something to my mental status where I am like, I thought I was losing it for a minute because
I understand.
it was really bad for me. So I actually reached out, talked to a therapist, and I realized meditation works for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was not going to do these type of interviews. I was not going to do anything until I were actually allowed to go back in the studio. But then I said,
Mm-hmm.
no, Jackie, now, no, continue doing this because talking to people such as yourself soothes my soul. It
Yay.
really, because
I
I'm
like it.
learning something from each and every one of my phenomenal interviews. I'm learning something, and it's something that I can go home and think about, and it resonates. And then people will email me and say, hey, we saw the show. This was phenomenal. And that's not the part I want to feed my ego, but always want to leave a nugget for someone when they're watching the show. The young girls, or someone who's in the middle of a changing careers and they may want to go to the GBI or something like that. So I just love what I'm doing. I love the space that I'm in. I don't like the word happiness because for me, happiness it's a journey. Joy is a destination for me. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
finding joy and just connecting with women such as yourself. And I can definitely attest to this, that you're one of the women out there that it's not a crab in a barrel mentality. It's not a competition. It's
Mm-hmm.
collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever information I told you I stalk you. Whatever information you have, you share it, and I hear about it, and that's refreshing because I'm allergic to negativity, so I don't have those negative women around me anyway. Because there's
Mm-hmm.
something about me, my
Mm-hmm.
energy, where they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, she's too happy. We don't want to be around."
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
fine. You serve as a model for me, a role model, because this is what women should aspire to be. And I know you don't have it all together. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're showing by your actions, it's what we need to do as women. So that leads me to my next question. Why do you think women should collaborate? Why should we collaborate? And why should women support each other?
Oh, I think that, when I talked about earlier about how that when I have information and how I don't, want to hoard that and I want to share it, there is no doubt about it. Every single time when we collaborate, we are going to be propelled further. Okay. That is the only way for us to really advance. First of all, we've got to be models for our daughters, for those that are coming up under us, because when we leave, when we go to the next phase of retirement, we don't want it to all fall apart.
Mhm.
And so I think that our voices combined together, they're strong. It's not just a slogan, stronger together, but we are more powerful together. And we are a force to be reckoned with. It is, representation matters, and it shouldn't just be one woman at the table, or one woman in the room. We need to have more female voices. And so the way that we get in these certain places is for us to work together. Okay. Because when it comes to something, when it's time to make important decisions, you want to make sure that you have a full picture, and you need to have a diverse group that includes women.
Finally, Nelly, how can we support you?
That is a great question. Supporting me sounds, I don't know. That's difficult for me because I don't necessarily want you to support me. I guess I want maybe, support law enforcement. And I guess if you support law enforcement, then you support me. But I will say, I mean, I'm on social media. And certainly I would probably encourage everyone to follow me there on social media, because I'm delivering information about what's happening at the GBI. The GBI has social media pages as well. And I can provide that to you. But that's just, just sharing. It's an opportunity. It's not really just sharing, okay, I'm just sharing what I'm doing, but it's more about, who I'm elevating people, like I'm excited because I have a new intern and she's just amazing, goes to Liberty University. And so I'm getting ready to, on LinkedIn, that'll be my next LinkedIn post. I'm already ready to announce her. So I just really enjoy elevating other people. And so if you, I guess supporting me with me just kind of engaging with me on social media. That's like I said, that's the easiest way because we can collaborate and do things. If we need to, if you need to talk to some students and help some students out, show them the way, give them some information. I think that's the best way to do it. But yeah, supporting me, that's hard, that's a hard one. They're like, oh, I don't want it to be about me. I mean,
well, I'm going to be honest, Nelly. When I mean support, everything you talk about is the GBI. You are the GBI. And when I say that, let me finish before you interject. When I say that, GBI is made up of a team of people. Yeah. So when I see Nelly, where it's not just Nelly, her husband, her family, I really see Nelly GBI. Mm-hmm. So supporting you, what I'm thinking is also supporting the GBI. So that's why I'm asking, how can we support you? Because you're the epitome of the GBI. You and others, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people around. So, because whenever you're talking, it's the GBI, GBI, GBI. Mm-hmm. So you don't really talk about yourself. I've never heard you talk, even on social media. It's never been about yourself. It's always about the GBI. So you're a great representative of the GBI. So that's what I meant, and I should have clarified that. Like,
oh no, that's great. That's great. I mean, I appreciate it. You just have such an amazing platform, and you're just doing wonderful things. I think that just the way that you do it, how you take action, you're just not words. So I would, certainly encourage everyone to go and, just like I said, follow the agency, follow the pages. There's just kind of this sect that actually we're coming out of that. Even on social media, there was just a lot of negative energy about it. It didn't matter, what side of the political spectrum you were on, what your beliefs were on. We just kind of get out there and we just start, complaining and, trolling accounts. So, what I'll ask now that I've had an opportunity, go to the GBI pages. If you see something you like, comment, follow us, like us, comment, because what happens is that people they go to local law enforcement. They have social media pages too, and they have managers. This is really important because a lot of people turn to social media when they want to know what's going on. And the agency, law enforcement today, we are on social media, but we get so much negative feedback, these days, especially in 2020 with everything that's going on. So just go drop a nice note, a supportive note. Go out there and give some status love. Tell them, you appreciate what they do, or, great job on that case. Thanks for locking that child predator up. I think that's important. And we get a lot of those comments. I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't, thank the people that are so supportive. But that's nice because you know what? Everybody sees that. Everyone sees that. People see that. And they may not comment, but they see the negative stuff. They see the positive stuff too. But what I'm trying to do is strike this, let's see if we can push down the negative comments. Because if you have a legitimate question, ask it.
What is their handle on Twitter?
Okay, so the GBI handle on Twitter is GBI_GA. My handle on Twitter is NMilesGBIPIO. Instagram is GBI_GA. And then I'm at NMilesPIO.
It's just been a pleasure talking to you. It's like I spoke with you last week, and it was like maybe 2-3 years ago that we spoke. And you just come with this. You have this effervescence. I love that word. Effervescence.
Good word.
Smile, and you just have that energy, that light about you. So, and you represent I'm telling you, I just love law enforcement. I can only speak about where I'm living right now. I'm loving it. The GBI, I'm loving it, and what you're doing. And I'm definitely going to go on and comment, because so often, sometimes when people who are working the GBI, they see that sometimes the negative stays with you and the positive doesn't, because we focus on the negative. So I'm going to encourage, the people that I know to just go in and comment if they see a case that came, that they thought was great. And people are telling me, hey, did you see that? That happened. I'm going to remind them, could you just go on the GBI and just show some love, because they need to see that too. So I'll definitely get that word out as well. Okay?
Thank you. That, it was such a great question. I never thought about it that way. And what I've asked of you, I've never told anyone that, but I'm like, oh no, actually, that would be great if you could do that.
Mhm.
That would be the best way to support us,
Well, I'm definitely going to do that.
Colleen.
So, without further ado, we want to thank everyone for tuning into the Women Are Worthy show. And go to our YouTube channel and follow us on YouTube. It's the Women Are Worthy Network. Like and subscribe us on Instagram and Facebook. It's the Women Are Worthy show. We're going to be, when I tell y'all, we have some things planned. I'm hoping this Henry County thing comes through. Mr. Derek Johnson, I know you watching. I know you watching. So you need to get that together, okay? So with that, also I want to remind everyone, if you see a police officer, tell him hello, ask him how his day is going. I mean, I promise you, when you do it, the smiles on their faces, it's like ridiculous. Like, oh my God, are you talking to me? That kind of thing. So, and if you see them at a coffee shop, this is me, not her, buy them a cup of coffee. Just because that's what I do with my veterans. Whenever I see veterans, and I tell my interns to do
Mhm.
the same thing, or just say hello. Just say
Mhm.
hello. Get to know your local law enforcement who's in your community. Don't wait for something to happen and then you know who they are. So please reach out. If you see them in a car and you're walking by, say hello. Just brighten up their day. That's all I'm asking. So that was my pitch, but I really mean it because I just love them. So without further ado, again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I want you to have a terrific Thursday, a fabulous Friday, and please make time for self-care. Oh, Nelly, I'm going to get you on that one. I'm going to get you on that one. So thank you and have a lovely evening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.